stay salty.
So I've seen a lot of people talking about inserters. Basically, what they do is they use the M2, M3, M4, or M5 threaded insert kits, and basically what you can do is you can expand what you can make, and they also have, you can actually print your own inserters, what they're called, or what they call them. But what I did was, is I went online, went on Amazon, and I found this right here, this electric drill stand. So I got this for 15 bucks. And what I also did was I bought this little uh, soldering iron kit. So basically what you do is you put the soldering iron down into the press and you press your inserters so they'll go in straight into your finished product. Now we're going to put that together today, and we'll see if it works. I don't know. I mean, this is built for a drill, so I got some ideas that I'm going to kind of tinker around with. So I'm going to change the camera angle and we'll go from there. Enjoy. Get the instructions out here. Drill stand, aluminum base. So basically, all of the inserters are online. You can make all of these parts. At I have to remember where the camera's at. And the seems like that spring is pretty intense, but I'll know once I get everything put together. And I may end up having to bring this spring out just because I don't need a heck of a lot of tension on there. You don't really need a lot of pressure when you're inserting these threads. So that shouldn't take me very long to put this thing together. Like I said, I went on Amazon. I was looking around. I seen these little drill presses and that. And this brand is basically an off brand, it looks like. Uh, Make your electric drill to be drill press. Huh. Okay. Set that aside here. All right. Pretty easy instructions. I mean, it's just basically, there's not very much to it at all. The only problem that I'm going to have is trying to fit the soldering iron because it's kind of small inside this bigger hole. But I've got some solutions. I may have to do some adjustments to this, but overall, it's not too bad for moving up and down. You may need to secure it to something. Probably using these two holes here. And then let's get this on here. So it is it does have a temperature gauge on it. And I believe that it's right around, I'm going to pull this up, right around 90 degrees, I think. So I want to put this in here whichever way you're facing, so that it kind of goes in like maybe right here. About there, and then try to make it as straight as possible. So the only other thing I can think of, besides what I'm doing here with these kits, is to actually make a holder for this that would keep it in place. I found them. So these are little threaded inserts with a thread actual kit for your for this. Let's see if we can get it on there. Huh. Okay, so that's that. Get that out. I've never done this before, so learning just like you. So we have this little kit here. Supposed kit. I don't know if it'll even work on this or not. I just buy random stuff. Oh my God. You ever seen a grown man struggle with it? Yeah. Well, apparently you put it in like that. Just back on. Tighten it up. Now, these are just little different inserters with the sizes that you need. So, let's say we're using a struggle is real, man. So apparently this is like another one of these that they have in this little kit. I'm just going to pull out the threaded insert here. Alright, so this is a 520 piece kit. It's an M2, M3, M4, M5 threaded insert assortment kit. So we added this, you can see this on there. We added this little brass piece on the inside of our soldering iron And it's just a cheap soldering iron. It's not a big deal. But I undid this, unscrewed this, and then took out the old soldering iron thing. I think this was like $8 or $10 or something like that. But I got the digital one so I could adjust the temperature on it. And then, so if we're going to do like a M3, so usually what they call for is M3s. And that's kind of the size that you're looking at. It's really small. So then we're going to match up the flat part to what we probably need. Insert it, and that one looked pretty good. I did a little more research and or some more thought about this, and basically what I found is that on these inserts, you want to have the rough side and the smooth side. You want to have that the smooth side. You want to have the smooth side down, going in, and then on your piece that's on the end of your soldering iron, this would be screwed into your soldering iron, but you want this to go on the inside so that it looks like this, so they almost come together, and that way you have a flush and you go straight in. So hopefully this is kind of an addendum to the little video you're going to be watching about the inserter. One of the other things you could probably do with with an inserter is you could probably find, if you have an old lamp, those lamps that have the springs on them, you might be able to use that and get a couple rods to have a straight downward push and make a little wooden handle or something. Probably do that. I mean, if you're tight for money or whatever. And just like I said, just on this here, and that way you got a better, it won't slip off. It's kind of locked in place as you're pushing down on it. But I would have your rough side up, smooth side down. As you can tell that the smooth side here is actually not as wide as your top side. So if you put your smooth side up and you put it in, this would probably give way a little more. Whereas if it's this way, it'll wrap tight around it. And that's that. I don't know if you're supposed to oversize a little bit, but my next oversize is like this huge one. So, but I think that you want to get right with the same similar size so that you can kind of, when you press these in, they're supposed to go just a little bit past, level, just past it. And it's supposed to be hot enough that it melts the plastic, and then these ridges, once the plastic cools down, whatever you're using, carbon fiber or what have you, once it cools down, it basically wraps onto or grabs onto these little ridges that are on there. Now, I'm almost going to say that this is the right way with the ridges at the top. Then you use this to press it in. So we're going to take this. Hopefully this fits. Yep, it does. So we're going to see how it's got a flat end on it. Or it's, flat. And so you want to have this as even as possible when you're pressing down so that it's not crooked on you online. So the biggest challenge is going to be basically what I'll do is I'll take this and wrap this around somewhere. See if that, yeah. So you could probably wrap this with like, and then run that to your cord or your outlet or whatever. I think the biggest challenge is getting this vertical, level basically inside here. Now we may have to stop and figure this out, but I mean it just the same principle works just like this. And then we'll need a permanent, home somewhere for this where it's bolted in and not moving around so that you're trying to press it in and all of a sudden you go sideways like this or that. But I mean it's not cheap, but it's a alternative to trying to print your own, trying to put it together. My idea is to use these on the inside, maybe clip these off and use them as a wedge. But I think if I do that, I don't think it's going to be as stable. But you really don't have to do a lot of pressure either. So anyway, if you guys got any ideas, let me show you what I'm talking about here. Jeez, forget that it's pointing towards me and the camera's on the other side. So basically what I was thinking is using cutting these little ends off and just using the plastic, or I could probably, I don't even have to cut the ends off, I'll just take the plastic out. Huh, look at that. Remember where that went. Just take this plastic off, or this rubber. It's rubber. So, and I know you can't see it off camera, but I'm trying to work it in there. You may have to drill. You want a tight fit, but you also want it to work. Okay. Ta-da! So that's in there. Now we just figure out going to break it. So it's slightly off center. We'll go ahead and kind of center it. And then the only problem is that once we get this in there, I don't really want to tighten up. So let's try to come in. We can't even come in from that way because we're already. Things that make you go, So, let's see. Let's got a piece of rubber. I don't really want to take it off yet because I don't want it to. I don't know if this is going to work, but down in there. Tighten this up. Oh, this is a guy I got off Printables. I'll put who it was made by. But I want to. My next project is I want to make this in with the transparent filament. Not sure what color yet. I think I'm gonna do a whole video on it. But yeah, this guy really. I think it's a guy. Uh, really cool dragon head sculpture. I really like that. So that's why it's sitting there. All right. Yeah, it's kind of tight. Can't really move it. It needs to be better. Could be better. But that's the general idea behind it. So this will go just like that, with the grooved edges up top, smooth edge at the bottom. Let's see if I can. So shiny side or smooth side down. Throw it on top. Probably should drill a hole first. Nice drill it. Alright. You're going to get your measurements and then you're going to go down. You're going to make them just a little bit smaller, probably by, I would say 1 millimeter smaller, maybe 2. You're going to test it out. Maybe make yourself I don't know. You make yourself a test piece with different thickness, and have your hole, like 1 millimeter smaller, 2 millimeters smaller, etc. And then try to do some test pieces, because I think you can pull these things back out on your test piece if you need to. I mean, they're not that expensive. So I got this drill bit's probably just a little bit too big, but Give you the general idea of a starter piece, and then we'll see what happens here. That might not be ideal conditions. Oh, man. Here. See that? Yeah, I get everything all fucked up, can I? Well, it seemed to melted it pretty dang good for that spot. Might need to grease this in here to get this to move up and down a little bit better. And it's still pretty warm right now. You see I didn't get it all the way flush, but this is, I mean, test piece. You get the idea of what's happening here. And then what do we have? An M3 8mm. So let's see if I can find a screw that'll go in that M3 8mm. Alright. Well, it works. That's that. Seems to hold it. I mean, even the crappy job I did on that, it holds it. I mean, it's probably not something you want to be jumping up and down on, but it seems to have worked. Let's see how strong it is. Yeah, it's starting to come out. Yeah, it's not that strong. But you get the idea. I mean, this is just I didn't really do much, and this is a really crappy piece right here. So it's not a good print at all, but it was just kind of giving you the general idea of, straight motion up and down, not too high of a heat. I'd be able to melt that plastic around there, and you really want it to be a solid. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching, and as soon as I figure this out right here of keeping this straight and tight, I might do give you a quick update on it, maybe take some pictures or something. But it's a cheap. I mean, like I said, it was probably 25 bucks for this whole thing. And I greased this right here so this slides up and down easier. I got the grease for it. Just use your same stuff that you would use on your 3D printer. Thanks for watching. You have a great night.